narrative. And especially I enjoyed your big moments. I think that's where your comfort zone is, and you feel very comfortable in those moments. I'm just gonna talk generally about the piece because you obviously put so much work into it, and it's filled with details, very beautiful details, and you have gorgeous sound, always singable. So the image of water kept coming to me as I was listening to you play. And at first, I didn't even think about it. I just heard the music, and I kept imagining water in lots of different guises. And then I thought, of course, this is a barco. So we are in water. We are in a boat, gondola, and we see all manners of water, you know. And one, of course, could be very imaginative, imagining fountains and very smooth sailing, but then something that's a little bit more choppy, maybe choppy waters. Or when you go from the narrow canal, suddenly you go into this piazza, you know, and it's filled with boats and people and banners and lots of activity. And then you go through maybe some very enchanting view where the time stops still and you just, yeah. So it's the still moments that I was wondering if, and in the beginning, you know, there's this eruption, and of course, notoriously difficult with all Chopin pieces is to start them, right? Once you get into them, it's okay. But you know, who can start the ballade? I mean, it's impossible. You know, I've never heard, including my own, the beginning that I liked still, or any kind of. Everybody always picks at the beginning. So sometimes I think he just wrote these things, and they're so ideal that we'll never attain that ideal, but we'll die trying, almost like in a quest, like a Quixotic quest almost. So I think you're very, very close, like you're almost there. I really like your playing. But in terms of water always flows. And sometimes yours gets damped, yours gets stopped, whether it's physical or mental. I feel like it doesn't always flow. So let's see if you could, even when you take time, you can show me that it still continues to flow. So it's that moment. Then I like your introduction. It was very beautiful. The second time we come to the same introduction, it needs to be bigger. I know it's really hard to make the same melody bigger because you know you want it to be delicate and you want it to be beautiful and singing. So it ends up being almost the same dynamic as the first time we played. And we kind of need to see the growth, the development of that. So this whole page needs to be a lot bigger. And then you can take us through this enchanting time here. And if you have a bigger climax, then this will stand out more. As it is, we don't get enough. And then later on in the climax, we do. Like this climax, you play very well, so this steps out. But this also stops. I know it's really hard to play the chords in a flowing manner. And so you kind of stop between dum, bum, 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 ra, bum, bum. Yeah, it's a little vertical. Yeah. And this is another moment, this completely enchanting time before we go back into big moments, where I feel like you're almost afraid to stop and let us just see this magical place. So this needs a little bit more time and more personal investment from you to just feel okay with taking this at a slower pace to let us really feel the magic. So those are kind of the big moments that they want to go through. The climax was terrific, the ending was really beautiful. So let us first start to see if you could make the opening as beautiful as you play it, non-stop. Let's try just the left hand. Just so you could feel the flow of the triplet notes. It's kind of an opening, not that you don't play them well, but just to kind of hear them on their own and how they move the flow forward. Can you try that? Very good, very good. So basically, in the left hand, okay, like a geyser, like a fountain shooting and then droplets falling down. Can you show me that you hear that line a little bit more clearly? Floating sound will go a long way. Don't flex your sound. Yeah, try it. So our thumbs actually in Chopin are really standing in our way because they flex and then the things get a little bit too percussive. Good. Let's do the same with the right hand. So he kind of just dribbles down from that high. Can you try? Yeah, if you could caress the notes a little bit more instead of articulating them, that would help a lot. But that's okay, that was good. So let's try now both hands. That was very good, much better. Yeah, so it's not about not being able to take time, it's just feeling that the flow still moves forward, and it doesn't just kind of, yeah, good. So that was excellent. Let's try to continue to feel that way. Try to relax your thumb in the left hand, and that will help the back of the hand. Yeah. midst of, this was absolutely gorgeous playing, by the way. You did so beautifully. That we felt like it was kind of moving, right, right. Sometimes, you know, in the master classes, it doesn't matter what I say. The second time is going to be better, right? I'll take the credit. But great job. But yeah, this rest that you're trying to show here, I think it's the only one that in a whole piece kind of jarred me. No, longer. Yeah, I mean, I think you could pedal through that rest. On pedal, yeah, connected forward, because otherwise it's like a dam. It's like, stop, the boat crashed. All right, that was very beautiful. Your idea, very inspired to play the beginning much softer. Really worked. It was very magical, and that gives you enough room to play this bigger. Yeah, so that was excellent. And then you felt how when you took this a little bit softer, da 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 da, and kind of flowed through them, they were a lot better. So remember that as well. Okay, so let's just see if you don't abruptly lift the pedal here, what would happen. Yeah, it doesn't work in this context. Yeah. Yes. Simple I think you want to take time here, not here so much, because that's the top of that. That was very good. That was excellent, yeah. And then so that gives us the right sort of launch pad to that. Let's try it here. So maybe here. 1 level, 2, 3, and then finally 4. And then this is like a roundup. You know, I don't think it actually arrives here. Can you try from here? And like, yes, I like it very much, very much. Bravo, thank you. I think in general, all these. They're just placeholders. This is just him continuing the same harmony. So if you start emphasizing each one, they kind of start to stick out. That's just an aside note, okay? Now, going into all the, how about 30 minutes. This is a very personal, soft spot. And so is this. There are two cadenza-like, very intimate. I want to see if you allow us to be with you in a very more intimate, even softer. When you play softer, the listeners come to you. When you play more expressively, you're coming out over there. So if you want to draw people in, you want to start playing softer. And then everybody just starts drawing into the sound. I think that would be appropriate here. It is pianissimo at this point. And we're doing quite an abrupt transition from something big to something really intimate. So show me how personal you can get, okay? Can you try from the transition here? And soften. Yeah, just make your fingers not so articulated. For me, this transition is kind of like a journey. There is a lot of things that happen underwater. You don't immediately see them, but then you start noticing them. So one of the first ones is that figure, because he repeats it twice. And it's like something circling. And you hear how it kind of resolves there in the middle, and then he repeats that. And then he just repeats the last bit. To me, that's very poignant, and I think that's why he puts that, something, I don't know if it's him or not, crescendo. So something happens during that uncertain period where something is just circling around. So the first time, intimate. The second time, more insistent. The third time is the most poignant. It's just like one truncated part. And then finally, it moves somewhere else. You see what I mean? So give time, give your own understanding to these motives and how they interact with each other. Then the next beautiful event, in my opinion, what happens? Like Bach, he begins to split this line into a compound melody. So you have suddenly you hear two voices. And I don't quite hear that you're listening to this I hear everything, so that doesn't give me that, three-dimensional picture. So see what you can do with that information. Yeah, you just move right past the resolution. Hear the resolution. going on. Of course, it's in the middle voice, but there's still a compound melody. And occasionally, that takes the top priority when nothing else is going on. So you could continue here, and kind of hide that D, but that's another aside. Okay, so we have by now like 5 minutes, and I'd like to also hear through this transition, which I consider just as important as the big climaxes. It sets up the big climaxes, and the more poignantly you play this, the more your climaxes set off in a grand fashion. So I'd like to start here, because that sets up the tempo, kind of a dance-like. And it can't seem to move from that spot. The ostinato E just keeps going. So again, there's this circling idea that we keep coming back to the same spot before we can kind of move from it. So you want to be very intimate, but you don't want to be vertical, right? Because it keeps moving, it keeps circling. So my advice to you is to play the long notes lighter, actually, and create 4-chord grouping. Another 4-chord grouping. Another. Finally, it moves to another bass, right? And then there's that magical. That takes spot. So we now realize that all this time from this chord, we were going to this chord. I mean, that whole thing is just from here to here. And then he kind of emphasizes the new harmony. So finally we're in that new harmony, and that's where the time stops. You can take as much time to get to that note, because literally it's frozen. So let's try this. Yes, lighter on the long notes. You see my movement, I'm going up on the long notes. Yeah, don't emphasize. Yeah, slide off of it, that's it. And then yeah, that's the important moment. Yeah, that's the magical moment, and you just kind of play this very casually. This is the first time I actually hear that harmony. Don't blow by it. More intimately. Yeah, take time to really present the C sharp major to us. Da, dum. C sharp major. Take time there. Yeah, not that much, but right now you're just you're regarding it as any other harmony, and it's not. It's special. Show us that it's special. Yes. And keep going. And there it is. And then time froze. You see how you just like you want action. Yeah, you're afraid of inaction, but that's exactly where I'm pushing you to open yourself to not act. Yeah? Can you show me? Trying to move. I know this is really, really hard to go to that space and to be that exposed. But did you hear the quality of listening? Yeah, yeah. This is what we live for, okay? So let us live in that